Hello, everybody. How are you? Hope you're very well. And for those 3 people who are with us, please say hi. We've got Amber, who has jumped in from Chichester College already, and Chasey from Chichester College. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us straight away. There's anybody else that hasn't put a comment in the comments box, let me know straight away. I just first of all want to say a massive thank you for everybody who has given up their time to be here today, right now. Obviously, you know, it's a big investment in anybody's day to give up an hour just to come and watch something. So I appreciate it enormously. And everybody else at the Stafford Education appreciates your time too. Now, we've got a cracker today. We're doing a bit of razor cutting. We're going to talk about, hello, Jane. We're going to talk a little about kind of cutting kind of dual shape, strong and soft, using a razor, 2 different types of razor. I love razor cutting. It's not something that I've ever really ventured into talking about on my YouTube channel, not for any specific reason other than the fact that it's not hugely popular. And the reason it's not hugely popular is I think a lot of people are intimidated by razor cutting. So we're going to be doing some razor cutting today. We've got a cracking shape to show you. It's kind of a bob mashup. So I hope you enjoy it. James, you are a little blurry. Hi, Bond. Good to see you again, buddy. I'm a little blurry, am I? Okay, cool. Am I blurry to anybody else before I change any settings? If yes, then I'll change some settings. If no, then there's something I can switch over, but it's not exactly straightforward to do that. So it'll take me 1 minute. So let me know if it's just Jane's computer or yes, a little fuzzy. Okay, cool. Let's just do this. Give me 1 minute. Good. Yes, blurry. Okie dokes. Hockey dokes. Hello, Laura. Hi, Tina from North Kent. Welcome. Just check all the connections because I don't seem to be plugged into my LAN for some reason, but never mind. I'm not really sure why. Okay. Oh, we're connected. We are connected. Houston. Right then, that should... Okay. Let me know if that improves anything, guys. I will also just switch. Right, let me know if that improves anything. Thank you for that. That's really important to know. Who have I missed while I was doing that? Who have I got here? We've got Tina. Oh, I said hello to Tina, Lilia, and we've got Tina still blurry. If it's still blurry now, then I'm not really sure why. That's better, says Tina. Good. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Appreciate it immensely. Okay, so back with the show. Thank you for that, though. It really does help, obviously, to know what you guys can see because everything is clear my end always because it's just plugged straight into the laptop and the streaming deck. So appreciate that a lot. Okay, so back to today, back to the technique. You know what we're going to do now? We're going to put ourselves in the frame of learning. Okay, we've had a busy day. Things have gone wrong. Your internet's blurry. We need to now get our head straight. So we're going to do exactly what I always do, and I just love this just because it brings us into the room. We're going to do some breathing. If you want to join in, then be my guest. If you don't want to join in, that is also entirely up to you. You can just sit and watch me breathe. Okay, so for those of you that are going to join in, we're going to close our eyes and we're just going to think about our breathing for a few seconds. And we're not going to hear anything else apart from me talking about your breathing, but just focus in on your breathing. In fact, ignore me completely for a second and just listen to your own breathing. It's going to go in through your lungs and out through your mouth or out through your nose. It doesn't really matter. We're not here to change your breathing. We're here to just center ourselves for a second. We're now going to breathe in for 1 and out for 1. We're going to breathe in for 2 and out for 2. In for 3. We're going to go one more. In for 4. In for 5 if you can. Back to 4 or 3. In for 3. 2. 1. Okay, keep your eyes closed for a second and just think about your breathing for a second. Don't think about anything else. Just try and focus on your breathing and open your eyes. Thanks for joining in, whoever did. And those of you who didn't, we appreciate you too. Okay, so today's technique. We have got a kind of lob length hairdo here already. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a section that runs through the parietal ridge. So the parietal ridge is the ridge that is just above the ear that runs horizontally across the head here. So we're going to put our comb onto the scalp and we're going to run along the parietal ridge and we're going to create a horizontal section like so. And then if we just pull all the hair over to the right hand side or the left hand side, depending on which side you're starting. I start on the left hand side, so I'm going to pull it to the right. Okay, we're going to swizzle it around. And then we're going to take a horizontal section that goes between the highest point of the occipital bone and the crown, just like so. And we're going to comb the hair down like that. And then we're going to pull all that hair forward as we go. And this is really important, to keep combing the hair in the direction of which we're going to cut the hair. So here is our next section through the parietal ridge again, and we're going to leave ourselves with a rectangle shaped section. So if you come around to the front, and I'll show you the front in a second. Get this hair out of the way. There we go. Right then, if you come around to the front, you can check your balance that you've got it even on both sides. So I'm just going to have a quick look. Yep. I'm a little bit off, so I'm just going to take it up a touch higher on this left-hand side. And that is looking pretty good. Right then, spin this up out the way, bump it up right on the front of the head, and we'll deal with that later. Pop clip in it, lovely stuff. So we've got a rectangle shaped section. Just dropped a bit out the back here, so I'm not afraid of my mistakes. Mistakes are okay, providing we learn from them. So wrap that around there. Perfect. Right then, so we're going to take a section now that runs down the center back. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments box. I can see the comments box nice and clearly. We're going to take that section that I just mentioned through the center back like that. And then we're going to take a horizontal section from just as the occipital bone curves away. So if we place our comb on the head like so, we can just see that the head goes in the opposite direction to the comb at about that point. And that is where we're going to take our next section from and to. and that will come out roughly in the middle of the back of the ear, dependent obviously on people's face shapes, etc. And we're going to take this piece of hair here, push it all forward, and pop a clip in it. Good stuff. Right then, we will repeat that process onto this right hand side. Just going to grab another clip because I put it down somewhere. And we're going to take that same section through to this opposite side here, like so. Comb all the hair forward. I'm going to twist this up out the way. Like that. Put my clip in it and do the same on this side. Now we've got our sections in the right place. Just like that. Always twist from the roots, and that will tighten up really quickly then, and then you don't have to keep twisting it and twisting it and twisting it all the way to the ends. We can get a nice clean section in there. Okay, so what we're going to do, we've got two types of razor actually. Let's talk about that first. So we've got an open razor, which is for removing, I would say, like this is best for kind of cutting strong shapes in. And then we've got a comb style razor, and this is kind of better for texturizing, although this side of this comb razor does remove length quite efficiently, whereas this side is more for kind of, I would say, better for textured work in my opinion. So we've got two types of razor here. We're going to use the open blade razor to cut the shape in initially. The other thing that we are making sure we've got is plenty of product on the hair to make sure that the razor glides smoothly. Let's have a look at the comments. Hi, Paula from Abingdon Whitney. And Jane says, we can work out what you're doing, James, but still not clear as you could be my end. Is anybody else not seeing me very clearly? Hello, Laura from Chichester. I'll wait to see what comes of that. Not entirely sure what I could change at this point in time. Okie dokes. Right then, so we're going to take a vertical section straight down the center here, just like so. We're going to elevate this hair up. We're going to hold it out from the head at 90 degrees. We're going to hold our razor at 45 degrees, and we're going to cut a line that travels down towards the ground, like that. So we're going to take away some of the length, but we're also going to start creating a much more head-hugging feel. So maybe you can see that a little better from that angle. Just raise her up a bit. Lucy says she's a massive fan. Oh, thank you, Lucy. Mine was blurry, but seems better now, says Paula. Okie dokes. Anybody else? Just let me know. There's not a lot else I can change on the actual. I'm all plugged into the wall. It's not over Wi-Fi or anything. So, okay, next section, vertical section. And then we're going to come through and we're going to take away that hair, and we're going to basically over direct each section square away from the head shape. So this section will come back like so, over direct the hair back, 45-degree cutting angle, and we're just gently going to remove the hair just like so. So what we've done is we've kind of built up a slightly graduated shape. It's going to get longer from the center and down. That's going to leave us this little bit of hair here, because as we've over directed and the hairline's gone away from us here, it then leaves behind this slightly shorter piece than the length on the center. We're going to adjust that though after we've done this opposite side. So I'm going to turn it around and hopefully you guys will be able to see it clearly. Take this section, pull the hair back, pick up some of our guide, pull the hair straight back and cut a line down towards the ground. And then you can see now that what's happening is it's following the head shape in, but we're leaving length through the bottom here. Have you ever cut yourself when using a razor on someone's hair? No, actually. I've cut myself with my scissors loads of times. You'd think I'd probably more likely to cut myself with a razor, but no, I actually haven't. I guess I guess I'm more careful. Does that sound crazy? But you know, you feel like you can cut yourself more really easily with these things. So from this angle, you can see that we're pulling the hair straight back. I just move slightly, you'll be able to see that better. So we're going to pull the hair straight back, over directing the hair straight back, as if we're cutting like a sort of graduated bob shape. Okay, elevate the hair, find our guide, and then just work our way down towards the perimeter. Comb our section, make sure we're happy with it. Have a look at our shape. Just a little heavy on this side. Just come in and do this side again a little bit. Just adjust as we go. You know, the nice thing about cutting hair with a razor is that it's a bit like trimming privet or, you know, a bush. You just adjust the shape to your own personal means as you go. I'm just going to adjust the length here a little bit. So I'm not going to elevate the hair because I want a little bit of weightiness to the perimeter, like so. Like that. Okay, perfect. So we've got that head hugging feel. It goes in and out, which I really, really like when we're creating these kind of shapes. Okay, next section. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to drop down this section and we're going to section through from the section we took in the back of the occipital bone through to the middle top of the ear. So we've got this hair now that's overhanging our perimeter length. I'm going to pop a clip in here. Just like so. So we can see now we've got this line that drops through towards the top of the ear here. Same again on this side. Okay, super. So we've got this overhanging shape now. We've got this layer underneath. Now we're not going to connect to that hair underneath, guys. We are going to razor above it. Okay, the same principle though. We're going to do the same technique. You're going to show it from a different angle slightly, so you'll be able to see it for yourself. We're going to take that center profile section down the center. That was pretty self-explanatory. Center profile section down the center. Okay, and we're going to pick that hair up. I'm going to pull that hair straight out from the head shape. And then we're going to pick our length that we want to cut it to. Now, I want the top to be quite textured. We want a lot of movement in the top here. So we're going to pull this section out, and you can see my angle there. Pull that section straight out from the head. Pick the length that I want it to be. What I want to do is I want to get a length that sits roughly at the bottom of the occipital bone, cutting angle 45 degrees, and we're just gently, just got to gently work your way down, just like that. And then that just creates another shape over the top of that previous shape. We're going to take another section, pull the hair straight back like so. And we're basically repeating what we did on the section below. You can clearly see my guide just there. We're going to then come in and we're going to slide down the hair. We're going to leave length. Again, we're going to create head hugging shapes. It's going to go out and in and out. Okay. We're looking to create something that is a little bit more head flattering, I suppose, if for want of a better word. Clearly see my guide at the top there. Come in and just take that length away, just like so. Really, really nice thing to do, this haircut. I really enjoy doing razor cutting because it's, for any of you that have just done hair cutting, it is a really fantastic way of freeing up your mind from just haircuts. You know, lots of you have probably just done hundreds and hundreds of scissor cuts. If you haven't done any razor work, you can use the same principles, you know, of scissor cutting. I don't think the principles change any, okay, but you can then create slightly different shapes because some of the angles that you might take are hard to create with a pair of scissors. One of the things that I will say is, though, make sure that you're using a fresh blade every time you're cutting someone's hair. Otherwise, you can create, and there's a sort of idea that you can create split ends and damage. You can damage the hair slightly if you're not using that fresh blade because it's not cutting cleanly enough. Okay, so it is important that you keep that blade replaced. So the blades are not expensive. In here, this takes two types of what they're called, cutthroat razor, double-sided razor blades, and then these ones are a double-sided razor blade that you snap them in half and then slide it in. So yeah, do always make sure the blade is clean and fresh and that it's sharp, because it's nothing worse than razoring hair with a blade that's not very sharp. Okay, so you can see, hopefully, yeah, you can see that on the screen there, can't you? The hair's going in and out. It's following the head shape. We've created really nice movement and texture through there. Okay, so we're on to our side sections. And we've got a couple of choices in terms of adjusting the length, but we'll adjust the length after we've cut in the shape. And again, we're going to do exactly the same thing. And the joy of this particular shape is that really, until we get to the top, nothing specifically changes. We take a vertical section, we take another section to make sure we pick up some of our guideline. Our guideline is comprised of our section from the back, where we over directed that hair. We've created extra length, and we can see, I'll just pick a piece up, that it's about here, just at that point there. So that's going to be our guide section. I'm going to come down and we're going to razor through. Now, I don't want to take tons of the perimeter length away. I want to keep some perimeter length so I can adjust it after the fact. So what we do, as we come towards the perimeter length, we scoop out even more our section. Now, if I show you from the side what that looks like. I think you can probably hear me now. Cannot hear you. Yeah, I think you can hear me now, but yeah, my mic died. I don't know why. Okay, that's different. Yes, we can. How hard is it to cut hair with a razor? Not that difficult. Like anything, Tracy, it just takes a little bit of practice. So we're going to take that section. We're going to pull this section out. If you follow the principles, Tina, of cutting hair with scissors, and think like you're cutting hair with scissors, but you're creating different types of texture because it's a razor cut, then you won't go too far wrong. So in here now, we're going to come in and we're going to adjust our perimeter shape. Okay. The only thing with like razor cutting is obviously we just got to keep the hair damp, consistently damp throughout, but we should be doing that anyway with our normal hair cutting techniques, so that we've got consistent and even saturation of the hair as we work. What can you do if you cut too much off? Let it grow. Unfortunately, it's a bit like when you cut anyone's hair. If you cut too much off, you're in a bit of a sticky situation. So you have to be a little bit mindful that, like any hair cutting technique, razoring is quite different in the sense that it can get away from you if you're not too careful. So you do want to be mindful of, the fact that razors are very sharp and they do cut hair faster than scissors would, because we're not exactly opening and closing the blade. There's not that level of control. So you do need to be a little bit mindful of that for sure. But apart from that, it's like anything. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. So I would say that would be, one of the better things that I could probably offer you in terms of, advice. But I would always say to you, just as long as you think like you're cutting hair, or you think in the same way that you would when you were cutting anyone's hair normally, you won't be too far wrong. It's if you start thinking as if this is a different way of cutting hair, as if the rules of cutting hair don't apply. The rules of cutting hair do apply. You've got to use elevation to create softness. All you're doing is removing the hair in a slightly different way. That's it. So that's that side cut in, and we're just going to adjust our perimeter. So to adjust our perimeters, what we do is we take our section of hair, we comb it down, and then we utilize just the angle that we want to create. Really, it's a visual way of creating a perimeter. Double check that we're happy with it, and it's the same both sides by putting the head into a neutral position, just like so, neutral position, and then double checking the perimeter lengths. We're just a hair longer on this side, so we'll just take that off. Perfect. Right then, top section. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about natural fall, okay? It's something that I think not everybody thinks about enough, how someone's hair lives naturally, okay? Especially if we want to give them a kind of wash and wear style. So we've got to really, really, really be mindful of people's growth patterns, crowns, nape wells, all those kind of things. And if we put the hair into natural fall first, and then we decide how we're going to cut someone's hair, that is usually a better way, or you'll get better results if you do that, than if you start cutting sections that may be, tiny triangle here and a free section there. Unless that's going to work for that individual, can be sometimes, a bit of an error of judgment to just start going in with, a hard cutting line that might not sit well over a cowlick, or it might not sit well over double crown, or something like that. So put the hair into natural fall, then assess how the hair's sitting, how the hair's falling, with what you want to do to it in mind, and then judge from that position exactly how you're going to cut somebody's hair. Now, I am going to leave the hair in natural fall to cut this particular shape today, just because I'm particularly keen for the hair to sit well, even if it was dried naturally. You know, if we let this dry naturally, I really would like it to sit nicely. So we'll just damp it down to make sure it's evenly damp. Do I prefer cutting with razor or scissors? I actually don't specifically have a preference. If I'm creating a shape that is strong and structured and geometric, then I would use scissors. And if I was going to cut hair in a soft, movable, wearable way, it can be easier to create those. It's not impossible with scissors, but it can be easier to create those shapes with a razor, you know, create that movement in the hair with a razor. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to split the hair, and I'll show you here. We're going to split the hair like this, from the highest point down towards the top of the ear, like so. And then the same on the opposite side, just like that. Super easy to do. And then we're allowing for the natural fall of the hair. This hair wants to go that way. This hair sits better this way. Now we've worked out what the hair actually wants to do. We can play with it a little bit more. We are going to layer this shape, but we are going to also utilize this shape underneath to create lift. So we're going to tuck it in like that. That's the premise of this particular shape, is to really accentuate the head hug that is happening in the back here. We're going to switch to this razor. Just put it into focus. We're switching to this razor, which is the comb style. Creates a little bit more texture. We're also going to be using the kind of texture side of the comb, which is the one with the longer teeth. Lucy says, what age group is this cut for? Is this cut commonly for? This can be any age group, Tina. Absolutely any age group whatsoever. There is definitely not a set age group. It's just for somebody that wants a bob shape that's really kind of soft and textured, that isn't going to blow dry their hair to within an inch of its life. Okay, you want somebody who's going to diffuse their hair or have it very, very textured and messy and like blast dry the hair. You don't really want to have somebody who's going to need to control their hair a lot, because it's very difficult to make this amount of texture and movement easily controlled. So yeah, it's definitely more for people who just want to wash and go or blast and go, which I'm going to dry this today just so you can see how I dry it, because that's always helpful. We can see our layer underneath. Okay, so we're going to go to that point so we can see our layer in the bottom there, and then we're going to come in above this side and we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're going to have 3 layers of hair. Okay, we're going to have 3 layers of hair that are cut the same way, but all kind of adding to the shape in a different way. Okay, so we've got the first section cut, that's shorter, that's holding up the next section. And we've got the second section that's going to hold up the third section. It's all going to add to creating head hugging shape. Again, we're going to use the same premise, vertical section straight down the head like so. Pull the hair straight back. And then we're going to cut from our guide from the previous side and work our way down. What we don't want to do, okay, is we don't want to cut this length too short. we want it to sit over the hair beneath it, but we don't want it to go completely over it. We want it to enhance that head shape. Can you see how it's dipping in really hard in the back there? That's what we're going for with this. And it's like graduation, but it's just softer. It's like a graduated bob, but it's not so structured, you know. We want to remove that length through there, just like that. Get that head hugging feel happening. Do the same on the opposite side. Vertical section. Come in. Pull the hair straight out. And then razor down that length. What I want to know is, anybody still got a sore head from the Jubilee? Did anybody party too hard in the Jubilee and wishing they hadn't? Pull your hair straight back and then razor down just like so. So we can see now how that is starting to create shape, movement, texture, all of those things in this shape. So just a touch heavy on this side, so I'm going to remove a little bit more. Just like that. And then through the perimeter as well here at the back, we can just have a little look and see if it's looking a little bit too heavy. And if it is, we just pick up the sections. I'll lift her up a bit and see it clearer. We can just pick up these sections and we can come in and we can just work vertically downwards to just using the tip of the razor to remove some of the bulk. Just like that. Really love about razor cutting is this element. I really like refining and personalizing all my haircuts, whether it be a razor cut or a scissor haircut. And I really enjoy refining hair with a razor because it just gives you a level of freedom that you don't get with scissors, just to take bits off as and when you see it. And when you cut hair with a razor, you've got to spend a lot of time looking at the hair and deciding how you want it to all work. Is it working in the way that you were hoping it would? And if it isn't, you know, then you've got to try and figure out where it's going wrong. And is it too heavy? Is it too, you know, is there too much bulk? You know, is it that your sections, your layers aren't short enough, etc., etc. So I'm going to take a horizontal section here. And I'm, again, working with a bit more freehand here. I'm going to take a horizontal section and I'm just going to razor down some of the length through this top here, just because I want to create a little bit more layer in this area, just to give it a little bit more movement, just like that. Just want it to kind of, I definitely want it to dip in at the occipital bone. You know, as the haircut progresses, you kind of work these things out. This side's sitting a little better than the other side. I'm going to take a little bit of bulk away from here. There we go. That's better. Still a touch heavy at the top here. So I'm going to take this section again, elevate this section up. You know, and working freely like this is a lot of fun, you know. But this is what I'm saying. When you work free, if you're going to put this on a client, if you work freely like this, they've got to wear it freely. You know, they can't suddenly be trying to wear it in a structured manner, because it just doesn't work out. You have to have the right client for the job. You know, you have to say to the client, or you have to have a client that would say to you, right, I want to just let my hair dry naturally. I want to let the natural movement in my hair really kind of be free and play out. And, you know, that is the sort of client that you would want for this. Not somebody that says, I want to put a round brush in it and round brush it within an inch of its life. You know, that wouldn't work out too well. Okay. So let's work out these front bits and how we're going to do it. I'm going to put a really long fringe shape in through this front section, which I'm going to incorporate this whole front area into. So it's going to cut a bit like a sort of long bang shag fringe through this front section. Okay. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take this section, we're going to split it into two down the center like that. Just like so. And we're going to take a tiny little triangle out of the front center here. And then another little triangle on the opposite side, and we'll bring them together. So we've got a little triangle that's just above the bridge of the nose. Just going to make sure that's even on both sides. Good. And we're going to decide what length we want this section to be. Okay, so whether it's going to be chin length, nose length, whatever the length's going to be. I'm going to go with lip length for this one. We're going to pull the hair out. We're going to elevate the hair horizontally. Okay, and then we're going to come in and we're going to use the opposite side. So we're going to use the more cutting side to remove the length, and we're still going to have a soft edge because it's a razor. Okay, so we're going to come in at the point we want it to cut, and we're going to feed our way down towards the ends. Just going to go back over that. Good. Okay. Pick up the section, and this is called penning. You might have seen this before, but I'll just let you know. And I like to work with the texture as I go when I'm doing these type of things. So we're going to go in, pinky go up. This is for the Jubilee. Pinky up. Okay, and then in and remove some of the weight from that section, just like that. So that just creates a little looser. Now we're going to measure to see if that's at the right sort of point. That's looking good. It's kind of hugging the cheekbones. So that's working out for me. We're going to take our next section, okay, which is a diagonal backwards section, just like that. And we're going to work our way backwards in this fashion. We're going to pick up this section of hair, and we've got a center parting going through. We could do this in a side parting. You would just simply cut it to a side parting. We've got our guide underneath here. So there it is. We can see that our shortest point is just here. Okay, and we're going to utilize that shortest point as our starting point for cutting in the sides. And we're going to come in with the side of our comb, and we're going to cut down towards the length. So we've got the length on the corner, and we're going to be working our way towards that point. So you can see what we're creating here, like a fringe that will sit a bit like that as we go through. So we're going to take our next section. We're going to pull the hair forward. We're going to make sure that we can see the guide from the hair underneath. And remember, we're going to be aiming to be cutting longer and longer as we work our way down. So we're cutting graduation, basically, a long graduated shape around the face. So we're coming in, elevating up, seeing our guide clearly, and working our way down towards the length. Now, at this point, we've hit the length. We're bang on. We're right onto the corner at the bottom there. So now we're going to take the rest of the hair, pull it forward, and make sure that we've got all of that section covered. And we'll do the same thing on this opposite side as we did on the previous side. And we can see, just get that into position, what that creates. That creates that nice, soft, swinging fringe. The texture's built up nicely through here. We might want to take a little bit more out of the layers around there, but that's quite a nice shape You can see how that performs all the way through. It's got that nice loose shape to it. I think I'm going to make this a little bit lighter, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But that's the premise of the shape. If you've got any questions, guys, please throw them in the comment section. Always happy to answer those questions. So I'm going to go through this a little bit quicker now, just so that you're not here all afternoon. And I can clearly see my guideline there, and I'm just going to work down towards that point and taking away the hair as we go. So just making sure you can see your guideline as you travel through the shape, pulling that hair all forward, elevate your hair to horizontal, come in and cut down towards that corner. Throw your comb on the floor. It's always a good shout. Last section. Okay, here we go. In, and we're just scooping away that hair, elevating up, just like that. Okay, so like I said, I want to take a little bit of, want to put a little bit of layer into this shape. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to comb all the hair forward over the face. We're then going to come in, we're going to elevate the hair up. We're just going to pull the hair forward, elevate it up, and then we're going to come in with our technique that we used before, our penning technique. Okay, and we're going to just create some invisible layer in the hair. Show you a bit closer up. Okay, we're going to come in and we're going to just pen in some shape through that front section. Just take away some of that weight from there. We're not going to dilute, we're not going to do this technique down here, remember, because we'd already cut this hair. So all the hair that is below the parietal ridge, we don't want to be doing this to, because we've already cut it, we've already texturized it, we've already refined it, and we don't want to keep going over the hair that we've already cut. And you can see there that takes out a good amount of hair, puts in some nice invisible texture into those side sections. And we'll do one more time on this side. And again, just coming in. Just removing that little bit of weight from in there. Then put the hair into the position in which it's going to be worn, which is going to be something like that. And have a little look from the front. Assess the shape. Always just keep making thorough assessments of the shape you're creating. Don't just assume it's going to plan. Keep an eye on it. And if you need to tweak it or do anything to it, then do that as you go and make sure that you're, making the most of the shape as you work through it. Okay, just going to take a little bit more out of this side. This side is a little bit heavier than the other side. So we're going to come in again, not too close to the scalp. We're just going to come in and pen out a little bit of the weight, just like that. And just remove that bulk from within that side section, just like that. What we need to do with these side sections is also make sure that our length is adjusted correctly. So we're going to pull it down. We're going to look at the line that's underneath. We can see the previous guideline underneath there. I'm going to come in, just use that penning technique to just cut the perimeter away so that it matches the underneath. Check this side. As I say, this side's a bit thinner. There's a little bit to take off on this side. This side's a bit thinner, so we do need to be a little bit mindful. This side has had some extreme bleaching. So the hair texturally is different on both sides. Denser on this right side and lighter and finer on the right side. The left side, sorry. Okay, perfect. So we're going to give it a little blast with the hairdryer. So I'm going to mute myself just temporarily, just so I can blast it. And then I'm going to use a diffuser bag, which I'll show you what that looks like in a second. while I just mute myself. Okay, so just lightly blasted it off. We're going to put a little sea salt spray into it now. Just like so. Great. And then we're going to come in with our diffuser bag. Now, diffuser bags are a really, really fantastic way of drying hair naturally. And then we're just going to come in and utilize the diffuser bag to let the hair dry as naturally as possible, as if it was air dried, you know, as if we'd let the client walk around with their hair to dry naturally. And one of the big tips I can give you here, and if you can hear me clearly still, if you can't, I'll reiterate it in a minute anyway. One of the tips I could give you here is that you push it into shape, get it into some kind of shape, and then just leave it. Don't keep touching it. Once you're happy with the shape that you've kind of created, just let the air dry it naturally. You want it to lift, hold it, but don't keep scrunching. We want it to move, but not too much. Really only the height that I want to kind of control. Right, while I do this, we are going to play a game. Okay, guys, we're going to do an LSE competition. I'm going to put you back on mute and dry it off. The competition today, and Lee will send out the products to whoever wins, is what is the title? This is the first person, by the way, that comes back with this, because this is going to be easy to go on Google. What is the title of the last video I posted on my YouTube channel, The Life of Hair? What is the title of the last video I posted? Right, I'll be back in a sec. Go and find the answer. First person back. And Ellie Miller is the winner. Long, soft pixie cut. Well done, Ellie. Good job. Oh, no, Tracy came in first. Sorry, it's just refreshed. Do apologise. Tracy's just come in slightly ahead. Long, soft pixie cut hair. Well done, Tracy. You are the winner. Sorry, Ellie. It just came in slightly ahead of you. Do apologise. Answer your question, Bon. When did you use the razor on the client? What haircut was it? Can't remember what you were talking in reference to there, but I've got several clients that I razor their hair. Some are Bob's. One of them's like a long layered haircut. She's quite thick hair, and we do like a sort of it's like a shag haircut, but it's very, very long, and it's disconnected on the perimeters, so it's to create a lot of movement and texture. Right then, let's get some styling cream. I reckon we should call that a draw, to be honest, Tracy and Ellie. I've just looked at the times. You answered it at exactly the same time. So I'm going to tell Lee that you both came in at exactly the same time, and you're both going to have some goodies sent out. Right then, bit of styling cream. So I've got a soft styling cream here, and I'm going to come in. I'm going to scrunch this into the hair, just like that. Work it in. Soften out the edges, and it's just about molding it now into the shape you want to. Use your eyes to decide where you want the shape to go. One thing you can do with this haircut as well, which is a nice little touch, if you want it to look a little bit more done, get a round brush. Get a round brush, and then you can come in and just dry the front area. There we go. Okay, bit of hairspray. Camera's a bit. The light's got increasingly powerful. And there we go. We have done it. Finished. So we can show off this shape now. So in the back here, if I move out of the way, we can see how we've stacked the shape. We've built the shape up. We've let it dry. You know, we want it to dry as naturally as possible. As I was saying, these haircuts are really designed to be worn on heads that you're going to leave to dry naturally. Okay. So you've got a nice shape in there, coming in tight, softness on the perimeter, dropping long into the front. And then we've blow dried that front out just to give it a little bit of extra oomph. Okay, but that's just to give you an idea of how we can utilize different techniques, giving the same thought process to this fringe as I would if I scissor cut it, but creating a completely different feel to the fringe as if I'd scissor cut it. So hopefully that's been useful, helpful, and interesting. If it has, then please do let us know in the comment section. It's always good for me if Lee sees good comments, and I will join you again very soon for another episode of Lee Stafford Education Masterclasses. Have a great week, guys. Look after yourself, and I'll see you soon.